Frasiacs, are you sitting down? Are you sitting all the way down? I might have the biggest guest, and I'm not talking in size, I'm talking in popularity, that we have ever had on TSFS here tomorrow on the podcast. Christine Brown-Woolley. Christine freaking Brown-Woolley from Sister Wives. Probably the reason that you found my podcast to begin with is because I've become known as a Sister Wives pod. She is joining the show tomorrow to talk about her book, which, by the way, her book, Sister Wives, a memoir of family, free and finding freedom. Oh my God, what was it? Anyway, along those lines. Let me get the actual title. Tomorrow, the book was supposed to drop. However, it leaked early through Barnes & Noble because they put it out on the shelves like this past Tuesday or Wednesday. Sister Wife, a memoir of faith, family, and finding freedom. They put it out on the shelves earlier this week. Fans have devoured it. You can go on to every website. Spoiler alerts have been released. My own show a couple days ago, I did the biggest bombshells. By the way, I just pre-ordered my copy, so I should be getting it tomorrow, I think. Well, yeah. So anyhow, she's joining the podcast and she is revealing a ton, okay? A ton. We cover so much. She talks about what she thinks of Cody joining Fox's Special Forces. She also reveals some information about this apology tour that Cody is on and if she really thinks that Cody and Robin are going to take on a sister wife. If you recall, in past interviews, maybe like a year or so ago, she had commented that she was like, they will live monogamy. They are not interested in finding a sister wife. So she talks about what she thinks of this whole trailer for season 20 and the preview that they are apparently entertaining the idea of a sister wife. And I think for me, a couple of things stood out from this interview that I think you're going to really gravitate toward. Number one, I do a check-in with her about Garrison. I think the passing of Garrison Brown was so significant for season 19. It just aired in June, the 3-part series. And she has what I consider, I was surprised at her answer about that 3-part special. For the most part, fans loved it. People cried about it. I think critics, producers, universally, it was celebrated as very real about his alcohol and mental health struggle and taking his own life. And people also appreciated the family coming together, mourning. A lot of people had a lot of criticism about Cody, but a lot of people also saw a father in grief. And maybe, now a lot of people are not buying this, but maybe because Cody went through that tragedy, is this apology tour that we are going to see coming up in season 20 partly a reconciliation, if you will, because of losing Garrison? Has that had a huge impact on him? So we get into that with Christine to see what her thoughts are. But this interview, you guys, it was brief. It was 20 minutes. She's doing a major press tour. It was very quick, but this is, I think, jam-packed with a lot of information and insight into her book, what's next for her, and season 20. So don't miss it. Obviously, I think most of you are here. You subscribe to the podcast, whether it's on Apple, iHeart, Spotify. Hit that subscribe button, leave a review, share this podcast with someone who loves Sister Wives, because this interview, I believe, will be everywhere, and it drops tomorrow here at TSFS. Other Sister Wives buzz, the book is kind of getting all the buzz, the spoilers that are out, but I thought this was really comical because for whatever reason, Yahoo News and New Orleans, the city of New Orleans, has put out a press release basically saying that they are super excited that that Janelle filmed in New Orleans and that New Orleans is going to be featured in season 20 of Sister Wives. I don't know why. I don't even know why this is a trending story in New Orleans, but it is. And so, Sister Wives is in New Orleans and New Orleanians are celebrating. New Orleans. The Brown family, which includes, of course, Cody, Robin, Mary, and Janelle, is returning September 28th, but residents of New Orleans are very excited because apparently it was Janelle's visit to New Orleans, which is known as a spiritual city. You got a lot of voodoo, you got a lot of Catholicism. After visiting New Orleans with some girlfriends and also with Christine and David, I think they did like a little brief run in there. Uh, Janelle is going to ask for a spiritual release from her marriage with Cody. New Orleans, Louisiana is going to be a background as Janelle takes steps towards a spiritual divorce after a freeing trip to the city. In November 2024, Janelle took a trip to New Orleans with friends, and the trip is featured on the show's season 20 trailer. Fans of Sister Wives that live in New Orleans are celebrating. Apparently, the girls' trip was so much fun. Janelle described New Orleans as the coolest experience, listening to live jazz and seeing the city sights. Janelle also spent time with friends on Bourbon Street. Oh my God. Nothing's better than New Orleans, I'll tell you what. New Orleans. I love going to the Big Easy. It is so much fun. It's one of those cities. It's kind of like Key West too. It's the only place where you walk around and there's just a grown man dressed as a wizard at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, high as a kite. You know, you're like, is this what? What's going on in your life that you're now living as a wizard here on the streets? Excuse me, casting spells. Nolans is the only place you go. I mean, the cab driver's a voodoo magician giving you a reading. It's just like the vibe there is like, it's crazy. It's crazy. So I'm not shocked that Janelle was so moved. She wants a spiritual divorce from Cody, all because of Nolans. So there you go. It happened. I was so excited at the start of this podcast, I sort of forgot to tease everything that we're talking about. Did anyone realize this weekend, yesterday was the 28th anniversary of Princess Diana's death? I can't even believe it's been 28 years. We'll talk about that. Also, Monica Garcia and Jen Shah. Are the rumors true that they are returning to Salt Lake City? Excuse me? And Katie Ginella. Katie Ginella is the talk of RHOC. So she's on pause. Who put her on pause? What's the future with Katie? And are you team Katie or are you team Gina, Emily? I mean, the last episode was so explosive of them doing the lie detector test. So we're going to get into all that, that gossip and tea. I'll have updates for you too with my baby news. I am 14 weeks pregnant tomorrow. If you want to see my little baby bump, it's on TikTok and Instagram. But I thought today and tomorrow, we just have so much Sister Wives to cover. So I'll do baby stuff later this week, but going very well. So yesterday, I couldn't even believe this because do you remember? I feel like I remember where I was 9/11 and the day that Princess Diana died. I was shocked. So Princess Diana died 28 years ago yesterday after her tragic death. The late royal, known of course as the People's Princess, left behind a legacy and was killed in that car crash yesterday in 1997. So I was like 16 years old. I mean, 15, 16. It was, you guys, I bought every every magazine. I mean, I had to go to the grocery store the next day. I mean, I grew up in like bumfuck Maine. So I was like, Mom, we have to go to Hannaford's. I need every article, every Inquirer, I was obsessed with her. And I would say JFK Jr. too. When that plane crash happened, I was just like, I was glued to Today Show. Remember, they would cover it like nonstop 24/7. It was so shocking. So may she rest in peace. If you have the Beanie Baby, the Princess Diana Beanie Baby, because of the 28th anniversary, I guess the prices in those Beanie Babies went up. I mean, I had so many Beanie Babies. And we actually had the Princess Diana Beanie Baby. But then someone's house burnt down in Waterville, Maine when I was like in high school. My mom gave all the Beanie Babies to the family. I don't even know why, which probably they're like multimillionaires now. I'm like, Mom, way to give away probably the only asset we had that was worth anything. Like, because certainly my doll collection, we've lost money. So anyhow, there went, she gave away the Princess Diana Beanie Baby to the family in like 2006 that their house burnt down in Maine. So somewhere they're selling it on eBay for $15,000. Lucky them. That was such a shock. That was just such a surprise. I mean, I was living in little old Dresden, Maine. I was, going to school and it was just like, it was the start of the fall semester, like obviously, fall school year, and she died and I was just like beside myself. It was a shocking year. Very shocking. All right, let's talk about some Bravo tea. There's been a lot of Bravo news out there. Is Monica Garcia, now we all know her as Reality Von Tease. Now, she was not on the last season of Salt Lake City. They fired her ass after she came on the show. I liked her a lot. She was very young, spicy in the mix with the women. But of course, it was revealed 2 seasons ago that she was running a blogger account called Reality Von Tease and getting information from the women, publishing it, writing crappy things about them, trolling them. And then, of course, it was her, right? Now, obviously, it's different. The Kiki Monique is not a troll. She's not that type of person. It's just interesting to me that in RHOC this season, the whole thing again is based on a blogger. Of course, we know Kiki's identity. It's not Kiki's fault. I'm just like, is there more to this season? But now, Monica Garcia is giving more interviews and she's still clawing for relevance, according to one site, or at least trying. Popping up on podcasts, and on one recent appearance, she claimed that Bravo is likely bringing her back to Salt Lake City once Jen Shah is released from prison, just so the two of them can share the screen again. For context, of course, Monica once worked for Jen and later testified against her in court. See, this is where I'm like, Von Tessie might have a point. Confirming that Jen knew exactly what she was doing with her scamming scheme, despite Jen's repeated denials. In this podcast interview, Monica also admitted she wouldn't rejoin the show unless she had allies in the cast. But let's not forget, Monica was a one-season wonder, fired after season 4 when the cast united against her upon discovering that she had been stalking and secretly blogging about them before ever joining the show. A lot of people do not think that Monica or Jen will return. I don't know. I feel like anything goes now with Bravo. Anything. I mean, we just saw more announcements for BravoCon. Kim Zolciak Bierman going to be there. Well, she's dropped the Bierman. Let's be honest. She ain't no Bierman now. Kim Zolciak is going to be there, and Louis. I mean, I can't wait to sit down with David Yontef. You all know David Yontef behind the Velvet Rope, who I pod trade with weekly. And he's sort of a Jersey expert. Like, my show is known for Sister Wives. His is known for, of course, New Jersey. He calls Louis Looney Louie. He had said he didn't think that Bravo wanted anything to do with Louis. And now it's been announced that Louis is going to be at BravoCon as like a guest. I think this is a sign that he and Trey are getting a spinoff, or they're going to be a part of the return of Real Housewives of New Jersey. Just saying. So if the teaming up against Monica Garcia seems familiar to you, you're like, where else is that happening? A lot of fans think that it's happening in the OC against Katie Ginella. I'm blown away. To me, like, after Katie Ginella's PR guy came out and sat down with Justin Martindale on his podcast, Amir was the PR guy, and basically outed Katie as like a liar, delusional. Katie had hired him because she wanted to host Good Morning America. Once Amir was no longer useful to her, he was completely disposable to her, but she would call him and go, hey, by the way, you were going to get us front row tickets to a fashion show. So can I just go with you or like without you? And like, Amir was like, no, bitch. Like you were paying me for my services and I got you in. Like, you have to go with me and we're not working together anymore. But people are Team Katie. People feel that Emily and Gina have become mean girls, that they're against Katie. However, of course, we know the latest episode, Katie failed her lie detector test completely to the point that Emily kicked her out. I mean, everything about lying about Tamra, lying about Gretchen, our girl Gretchen. And now Katie has been all over social media interviews and she is on pause by the producers. Okay. So she didn't go to the final Amsterdam trip. And according to OK Magazine, sources say she really, producers really meant it when they put her on pause. Their insider said that the August 28th episode marked Katie's, quote, last appearance for a while on the show. The rest of the cast wants nothing to do with her. It was clear all of the women had planned to band together to take Katie down, and they ended up refusing to film with her, according to an insider. Some of what we'll see in the upcoming episodes is a cast trip to Amsterdam. Katie did not go. In an interview, she said producers believe she needed a break from the group. Okay, insiders echoed that sentiment. As she mentioned in an interview, she did want to film at the cast trip and previously said she was grateful to Bravo for temporarily removing her from the situation, but they still thought it was best for her to sit out the cast trip, the source claimed. Although this is the last we've seen of Katie for a while, this isn't the last we've seen of her. For now, she's still a housewife. The source teased to OK Magazine that we can expect to see more of her later in the RHOC season 19. I'm assuming she's definitely going to be at the reunion. Fans of Katie, stay tuned. Though this isn't the end of her story, but you will not be seeing her for several upcoming episodes. So I'm just curious, are you team Katie or are you more team the other women? Because they've all like band together and they're not really interested in her whatsoever. I'm loving this season, by the way. I love it. I think it's so good. Gretchen, like the looks that Gretchen has and her confessionals. I mean, it's people are describing it as a hot mess. The whole thing. Now, I'm not really on bed rest, but I'm on modified, like I'm on rest, okay? I'm 14 weeks pregnant. Everything is going well. My spotting has stopped. I know, TMI. If you're like, what? Well, where did this come from? This is out of left field. We were just talking about RHOC. Okay, well, shifting gears slightly. I had to be kind of on like lay low. No lifting, no real exercising. You can walk around the block, but that's about it, right? From my doctor, from my OB, because I had something called a subchorionic hematoma. I probably still do, but I will say this. It's probably been almost 2 weeks since I've had any bleeding and spotting. Taking the doctor's advice, I'm not doing a lot, except for I am watching an insane amount of television, which says a lot because my job is basically to watch television. You guys know I cover Sister Wives, a lot of the Bravo shows. Obviously, Welcome to Plathville every week is like epic beyond epic. So I ended up getting sucked in to last Tuesday night's ABC special with Bruce Willis's wife, Emma Willis, and Diane Sawyer. First of all, I'm totally over Diane Sawyer. I really am. And you know what? This is awful because I grew up with these women. I admired them. I feel like at one point it was like, oh, the goal is to be Diane Sawyer, Barbara Walters. I tried to watch the Barbara Walters documentary on Hulu. Her bored, irrelevant, a decade too late. Like, and this woman's like a journalist icon. I should be all about it. Bored. Diane Sawyer to me now is so leading with her. Like she's just, it's so obvious. She is like leading people into like, let me get the sound bite. Let me get the, did you really think that Bruce was having like dementia issues? I mean, she's just I don't even know how they keep dragging her out. Sorry, I'm just not a fan anymore. I don't know why. For some reason, some of these TV personalities, I'm over it. But anyway, I got sucked into watching this special. And if you're not familiar, Bruce Willis has like this form of dementia, okay? Obviously, one of the biggest actors ever. It's frontotemporal dementia, like a frontal lobal dementia. Basically eats away at your frontal lobe brain, acts like dementia. Well, in this special, again, I don't even know why I'm like looped into this, but I'm watching this whole thing. Starts out, Emma talks about like their connection and their marriage and their love for one another. They have 2 kids together as well. They've been together 16 years, and how she began to notice changes with Bruce several years ago because he just was like distant. They'd be doing stuff and it was like maybe things didn't seem to quite register, or he wasn't quite his happy, engaged self. He was like more subdued, right? That was kind of like the beginning. But the part of this interview that has people divided, and I'm so curious, like, what you all think, because it's funny, I kind of judged this moment too, and then I'm like, all right, you can't, I get it. I think being a caregiver to someone with Alzheimer's, with dementia, it's so much. But anyway, she's getting a ton of backlash today because in the interview, she basically talks about the fact that Bruce Willis no longer lives in their house. They have a separate home for him that's equipped really to deal with dementia. This is what she kind of says. And so he can be provided round-the-clock care there. But they live separately. And a lot of people have a lot of problems with this. Like, Emma, bitch, like, it's clear you want to divorce him. Like, you don't want him living in your house. Couldn't you have this round-the-clock care? He's uber rich, in your own home. And she says they're over there all the time and the girls are all over there all the time. So she's firing back, by the way. After the interview sparked this backlash, she responded in a video on Instagram and she says, quote, what I knew is that by sharing some of our intimate information that we would see these two camps. She said she was already prepared for this backlash. It would be people with an opinion versus people with an actual experience. The actress and caregiving advocate said that people with an opinion are quick to judge the caregiver, telling fans that this is what caregivers are up against, judgment from others. Willis's daughter Tallulah commented, I love you so much. We love you so much. Thank you for all that you do for us and for our family. So it obviously works for them. At least Tallulah is in it, in it. Again, it's one of those things like, it was interesting because growing up, my mom, that was what she did for work. She took care of a woman with Alzheimer's that lived in our home for a decade. And the woman didn't want to go into a nursing home. So the woman paid my mom, like signed over her Social Security check every single month, went to an attorney when she began to lose her mind and said, if they take care of me and they don't put me in a nursing home, meaning my parents, I will leave them everything. She had a home, she had a little bit of a savings, and she had, she was married. So they had a nice pension, Social Security that paid help my mom be a stay-at-home mom and have a job at home, to provide for the family. It was amazing. So I understand and I know how much work it was for my mother. It was always Phyllis was always around. And my friends, growing up, I used to be so embarrassed because, we'd take Phyllis. She would come to soccer practice. Phyllis would go wherever we went. And it was always well, who's this woman? It's well, it's not really it's not my grandmother. It's not my aunt. It's this woman, because you're 14 at the time. So you think that that's embarrassing. But I know how hard my mom worked and how much my mom had to do to keep Phyllis in our house. So I certainly know what it's like, and we're all dealing with aging parents. My mom has been over the years, she's survived breast cancer. She had a brain bleed, stroke. She survived kidney cancer. I mean, the queen is I gave birth. She's a lot of work. So I get it. I always to my mom, my mom doesn't want to go into assisted living. I'm don't you want to live in assisted living? Wouldn't that be nice for you? You could have friends. I'll come visit. No, she doesn't want to do that. So how do I know? What am I going to do? But my mother's already a lot of work. I mean, I gave birth to KJ. 10 days later, she came down to visit. Well, she came down when he was 4 days old. Stays at a hotel because we lived in a little one-bedroom apartment at the time. Calls me in the middle of the night. I'm having a COVID attack. I'm getting COVID. I'm having a COVID. I'm Mom, COVID doesn't really come on like that. I'm throwing up. I can't stop throwing up. I'm in so much pain. My back. Okay, we get there. We get to 911. We call 911. On the way to the hospital, I'm Googling symptoms. I'm I think your gallbladder is gone. She's having a massive gallbladder attack and she had to have that sucked out. That was 10 days into my experience of being motherhood. So let me tell you, I know what it's like to take care of aging parents that are traumatic. So anyhow, Emma is getting support from Bruce's kids. She said it was one of the hardest decisions ever, but I knew first and foremost, Bruce would want that for our daughters. He would want them to be in a home that was more tailored to their needs, not his needs. This is what she's saying. She also authored a memoir, The Unexpected Journey, Finding Strength, Hope in Yourself and a Caregiving Path. It's going to be released September 9th. So she is clapping back, but she does not live with Bruce, FYI. Oof. I don't know. I have so many questions, honestly. Couldn't they build on an apartment next door? I don't know. Anyway, whatever. I guess that's the point. She's telling people don't judge unless you've been a caretaker. A caretaker. No, just a gold digger, but not a caretaker. Okay, before we talk about, speaking of gold diggers, I'm going to talk about Jordan, Bill Belichick's girlfriend, who is now trying to trademark the words gold digger. Very Kris Jenner of her. Do we like her? She's like a dream interview. I just want to thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast, supporting it. And by supporting the show, if you could listen and frequent some of my sponsors, that would be amazing. We have some terrific sponsors this month, including Beam Organics, which they do superfood powders for kids. KJ drinks it and mix it in with milk. He thinks it's chocolate milk. Provides vitamins. So delicious. There's a great discount code for that. Let me get it for you right now. Beam Organics, you can go to shopbeam.com/TSFS up to 35% off, by the way, on your entire order. So do that. Frequent any of my sponsors. There's Cowboy Colostrum this month, Nutrafol, Quince, Rula, many more. But I really appreciate it. That is how I pay my producers, myself. I provide free content for you 7 days a week. So please listen, and I really try to curate advertisers that I think that you will love and actually frequent. Jordan, Bill Belichick's girlfriend, still around, by the way. Lots of rumors that these two are going to get married and even have a child. Dang. 30-year age difference, by the way. So Jordan is looking to trademark the words gold digger. She filed the trademark application. Don't you think like nobody else has done this before? Like, no, that's not a trademarked phrase. The 24-year-old is filing a trademark for the term gold digger, according to reports. She plans to cash in. Jordan Hudson, by the way, fellow Mainer, so I can't crap on her. I actually enjoy her. Filed the trademark application on Monday, noting that she would use the phrase on jewelry or keychains. The couple has been in the spotlight many times in their near 50-year. I thought it was 30. Excuse me? That just gave me acid reflux when I read that. Oh my God, 50-year age gap. Bill Belichick is 73, the former New England Patriots coach and former Bridgewater State University cheerleader, met in 2021. And of course, there's a lot of how did they meet? A lot of people think they met on a gold digger site, on a sugar baby site, because they claim they met on an airplane, but ain't nobody buying that. When he did that infamous CBS interview and she interrupted 20 times, one of the things she interrupted was she would not let him talk about how they met. And it's like, yes, because we're probably on a extremely high-end Ashley Madison. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay, the other thing is I need to tell, I don't even know how I got sucked into this story, but this is for all my Tennesseans, okay? For all my Vols, my Tennessee people, okay? Has everybody been following this famed Tennessee sheriff who inspired a Hollywood movie? It's now been revealed murdered his wife in 1967. If you are into true crime, which if you follow this podcast, I'm really not. I did a true crime podcast. It was awful, the Mansion murders. I hated it because the family was so against it. And I should have like stopped because they knew who the murderer was. Darren went. Anyway, it was not a good experience. I realized I did not want to pursue true crime because I didn't want to go and interview people about the worst moment in their life that impacts generations. It was a nightmare, okay? So I haven't really followed true crime. However, being on semi-bed rest, there's like a lot of true crime to watch, so I'm watching it. Okay, well, this is now going to be another Dateline special because a late Tennessee sheriff, which we're all like too young to really have followed this. However, it has Hollywood ties, Big Crosby ties. Now, murder, this larger than life character was a hero in Tennessee and is now being revealed as a murderer. The late Tennessee sheriff inspired the Hollywood movie about law enforcement officers who took organized crime into their own hands, is the number one suspect, and prosecutors say if he were alive today, he would be charged for the 1967 murder of his wife. Authorities acknowledge that finding this will likely shock many who grew up in Tennessee and fans of Buford. Oh my God, is it Pusser? Pusser? Pusser. I mean, pussy is like P-U. Okay, so Pusser. Buford Pusser. Pussier. I didn't change his name. Okay, if your parents or grandparents were around in 1973, was it Pusser? Pusser? Anyway, the famous movie, which I've never watched, Walking Tall, by the way, had multiple sequels, which immortalized him as a tough but fair sheriff with zero tolerance. The movie was then remade in 2004. 2004. I've never heard of it. Never heard of such a film. There's enough evidence that if Buford were alive today, by the way, he died 7 years later in a car crash after his wife was murdered. Prosecutors would present an indictment to a grand jury for the killing of Pauline Mullins Pusser. Investigators also uncovered signs that she suffered from domestic violence. Wow. So this, like, I guess this guy was like super well known. If you're from Tennessee, apparently like of legend. I mean, like his image was painted in like post offices. There's signs dedicated to him. Prosecutors worked with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, which began re-examining decades-old cold cases, including Pauline's death in 2022, as part of its regular review. Now, here's where it gets very interesting. Agents found inconsistencies between Buford's version of events and the physical evidence. They received a tip about a potential murder weapon and exhumed Pauline's body for an autopsy. So, in this whole case, they end up getting a recent tip, it sounds like. At the time, residents in the community told CBS they were completely caught off guard as agents swarmed the cemetery to exhume her body. This case is not about tearing down a legend, according to police. It's about giving dignity and closure to Pauline and her family. The case dates to August 12th, 1967. Buford got a call in the early morning hours, he said, about a disturbance. He then said that his wife volunteered to ride along with him as he responded. Buford said that shortly after they passed New Hope Methodist Church in Tennessee, a car pulled up, fired several times into the vehicle, killing Pauline and injuring the sheriff. Buford spent 18 days in the hospital and required several surgeries to recover. The case was built largely on his own statement and quickly closed as these, assailants were never found. Well, a former sheriff says, over the years, they've gotten some tips. And during the re-examination of the case, a medical, physical, and medical examiner studied post-mortem photographs, crime scene pictures, and notes made by the medical examiner. He concluded that Pauline was more than likely not shot outside the car, outside the car and then placed inside the vehicle. He found that cranial trauma suffered to Pauline didn't match crime scene photographs of the car's interior. Blood spattered on the hood outside the car contradicted Buford's statements. The gunshot wound on his cheek, which was in fact a close contact wound and not one fired from long range as Buford had described, and was likely self-inflicted. What a fucking nut. Pauline's autopsy also revealed that she had a broken nose that had healed just prior to her death. Davidson said statements from people who were around at the time say they support the conclusion that she was a victim of domestic violence at the hands of Buford. Even her younger brother, Griffin Mullins, said that investigators have finally given him closure after all of these years. So if you're in Tennessee, apparently this is like a big story and a big true crime story that will be getting a lot of Dateline and 2020 specials. Okay, huge week on TSFS. As you know, Christine Brown-Woolley joins the pod tomorrow. Welcome to Plathville. We have 13 episodes for this entire season this week. We're on to episode 7. David Yontef joins the pod Thursday and Saturday. I'll have a baby update and some life news coming up on Friday, and then we'll do a best of on Sunday. All right, love you guys. Thank you for listening. Bye, everybody.